Hello and welcome to Gurai's Biology Tutorials, and today we are going to do blood groups. So what really are blood groups? Now, there are two types of things that we need to know. One is antigens, and then we have antibodies. So what are these antigens and antibodies? So these are nothing but proteins. These are all proteins. So antigens are also known as agglutinogen. So these are proteins which are present on the surface of red blood cells. So you know what RBCs are like, spindle shaped, and so this is an RBC. Then on the surface you have these kind of antigens, also known as agglutinogen. So these are the proteins present on the red blood cell surface. Now there are two types of antigens. Antigens have two types. The two types of antigens are A and B. The thing which you need to notice is that I'm using a capital A and a capital B, and you will know why I'm using that. So this was about antigens. These are proteins present on the surface of red blood cells. Antigens are sometimes also known as corpuscle factor. Now I'm going to talk about antibodies. So what are these antibodies? Let us see. Adjusting the paper a bit. Antibodies are also known as agglutinin. 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 This is what they are known as. And this is not a protein which is present on the RBC surface, but this is a gamma protein. A gamma protein, or also known as a globulin protein, so these are actually present in the plasma. So if you just see this red blood cell here, which are covered all the way with antigens, then in the plasma are these antibodies which are suspended. They are not connected to the red blood cell, but they can get connected to it. We'll see how. So they are just present in the plasma and they are floating around. But antibodies also have two types, because antigens also had two types if you want to refer, A and B. Similarly, antibodies also have two types, and this is same. But the one thing that you notice here that I'm using the small alphabets, but in the case of antigens I use the capital ones, capital A and B, and here we have small a and b. A is also known as anti-A, anti-capital A, and B is known as anti-capital B. Now, if you are, intelligent enough, then you may have already guessed what uh, this is all about. If you have antibody A, and well, this is antigen, so I'll write it here. So if you've got antibody small a and antigen capital A, then they cannot exist together because small a is anti-A. So they have made it for, so that we can remember this. If you have small a antibody and capital A antigen together in your blood, then your blood is going to coagulate, also known as clumping of blood, which means that your blood won't be able to flow. It can't flow. It will coagulate or clump. So, if antibody A and antigen capital A cannot exist together, then what can exist together? Maybe you've already guessed. If we use antibody small a and antigen big B, then they can exist together because, as I have written here, B is anti-B and A is anti-A. So if you have this A here, it would be anti-A and not anti-B. So the antibody A would accept antigen B, and so they can coexist together. And if you have B antigen and A antibody, this is known as the B blood group. B blood group. So now you can quite make out all the arrangements. I will show you how can we arrange all the blood groups. So I'll make a table here. So here we have BG or blood group. BG or blood group. Here we'll tell you about the antigen present in that blood group, and here you will have the antibody present in that blood group. So if we're talking about the A blood group, then we are going to focus on the antigen part. So whichever antigen we have, the same would be the name of the blood group. So if we have A antigen, then we have A blood group. So if you have A antigen, what antibody can you have? Obviously, if you have A antigen, then you cannot have the small a one, so you'll have the B antibody. So if you have got A antigen and B antibody, you will get the A blood group. What about the B blood group? So as the blood group depends upon the antigen would be B, obviously. So antibody can just be the opposite, it would be A. So this was about the B blood group. But if you know about blood groups and you've heard about them, then there are many more blood groups. Well, there are many more. There are almost 30 blood groups. There are really 30 blood groups. But we really know, well, 4 of them: A, B, AB, and O. So what about the AB and O, which we know? It's like a poem. AB and O, which we know. But if you have AB blood group, then, well, as we know that the name of the blood group depends upon the antigen. So there would be A and B antigen. So if you have A and B antigen, then you can neither have A antibody nor B antibody. You cannot have any of them. So you won't have any antibody in your blood. Well, doesn't mean that you lose immunity or something, but you won't have any antibody in blood. What happens in O? Again, the blood group depends upon the antigen, and is O is necessarily a 0 because there is 0 antigen. There is no antigen in O blood group, but we have both A and B antibody. We have both A and B antibody present in the O blood group. So why do we need to know about blood groups? Because the knowledge of blood groups is used in safe blood transfusion. I'll write it here. Safe blood transfusion. That means, as we know that B is anti-B and A is anti-A, anti-capital A. So if you give the B's blood to someone who has A blood group in his body, then we are going to have again what you call clumping, because these two are not compatible with each other. So you must have heard of people saying that O is the universal donor, O is the universal donor, and AB is the universal receiver. So how is that possible? How is that possible? We'll discuss this now.